This is a private office.
3 knifings in 1 week, Mr. Ruskin. What are you doing? Handing them out at the door?
Inspector Fox, sir.
What is it, Robinson?
Something you should see, sir. It's, painting, sir.
Good God.
Hi, Chief. Clever little boy.
All right, Mrs. Mitchell?
Right as rain, Mr. Belt.
Morning, Mr. Perriott, sir.
Good morning, Alfred. Looks like a lovely day.
It does indeed, sir. It does indeed. Those chaps are still at it in the lane, sir.
They're taking their blessed time about it, I must say.
Bath's empty, for what it's worth.
Thank you, Harold. Oh, Mr. Cartell's sister for luncheon. Remember, Alfred?
Yes, sir.
Good God. Lady Bantling's brother's died. A car accident in the outback.
Ah, you'll be writing, of course, sir.
Of course. Poor Desiree.
It's a dangerous world, sir.
Is that nice Walcombs? Lychee have nice Walcombs. Mummy's got a surprise for you today. Yes. Moppet's coming to stay. Yes. And she's bringing a friend. Yes. Isn't that nice?
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Yes, Miss Cartell. A nice curry can be stretched, as you know, to ridiculous lengths. Now, I'm sure, miss, I'll get Mr. Cartell for you now.
Come on, Dixie, now. Up you go to your master. Come on now. Come on, up you go.
That was Miss Cartell. Wondering if the cuisine would stand 2 more for lunch.
To whom was she referring?
To the adopted niece, that Miss Moppet creature. And a friend.
Oh, God, Mr. Perriott will not be pleased. Confidentially, he can't stand a young lady. And I'm sure Mr. Cartell feels the same.
Well, that was my sister, Mrs. Mitchell. Wondering
Yes,
if,
I dare say you'll manage, Mr. Cartell.
Oh, good. I'll let Mr. Perriott know that. If you're in such a hurry.
Life of me, I cannot understand what possessed our Mr. Perriott. Offering that man a room in this house. Retired solicitor he may be, and a gentleman, I'm sure. But we've been under our own steam far too long for sharing.
1st of April, Mr. B.
I thought it best to call you straight away, sir.
Absolutely.
Being as each and every one appears to be by Miss Troy.
Yes.
I say. Nicola Maitland-Main.
Yes.
Well, well, PP's turned up trumps on the secretary front.
Sorry?
Percival Pike Period, your new employer. I'm Andrew Bentley, driving you to Chalfont.
Oh, how do you do? I'm sorry, On the phone you mentioned guard duty. I thought you'd be in uniform. Are you related to Mr. Perriott?
Oh, no, no. My legal guardian, well, actually, my boring old ex-stepfather, Harold Cartel, lives in his house. Good Lord. That's an Agatha Troy.
She's a friend of mine. She painted it for my 21st birthday.
I read an article about Agatha Troy in which she said painting was more important to her than life itself. Do you think that's true? I want to get out of the army.
Are you hoping to paint full time?
How did you know that I was a painter?
Cadmium yellow under the nail of your right forefinger.
You ought to be a detective. Here we are. Don't know why PP needs a secretary all of a sudden. Unless you're going to type up his letters of condolence.
His what?
Oh, he's famous for them. Writes them to anyone and everyone. Thank you, Alfred.
Sir?
Well, I'd better go straight up and get this over with then.
Good hunting. If you are hunting.
Thank you. Good typing.
Percival Pike Period, unhyphenated. Friends call me PP. Miss Maitland-Main?
I don't make much of a to-do about the Maitland.
Oh, but you must. Such a splendid old family. These things are very important.
I'd much prefer just plain Nicola, anyway.
Oh, Nicola, it is then. This is my great-grandfather's place at Ribblethorpe. Consumed, alas, by fire.
Oh, what a shame. They didn't really explain at the agency what my job is supposed to be.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to compile a book.
Wonderful. Your memoirs?
No. Something a trifle more utilitarian. It's a book on etiquette.
How did you know they weren't mine?
Oh, the signatures. Same position. Everyone identical. Yours are all over the place.
Quite uncanny. If you were to ask me to swear I didn't paint these, I'm not even sure that I could.
Somebody takes the trouble to master your style impeccably, then duplicates the signatures as if from a printing press. Doesn't make sense.
And why me? Surely it'd be far less risky and far more profitable to forge the works of a dead artist.
That had occurred to me.
You're not my father. You're not even my stepfather. You've no right to keep the money from me.
I'm your legal guardian until your 25th birthday.
At least look at the figures.
I'm not interested in the figures, Andrew. Your father wouldn't have wanted you to resign your commission, and that's all there is to it.
letters of condolence. So difficult. You knew that Lady Bantling's brother passed away.
No, I didn't.
Well, I'm sorry too, you horrible little man. Sorry I even asked you.
Oh, dear. A touch of awkwardity, I fear me. Andrew's in one of his rages. No doubt you've often witnessed them before.
We only just met this morning.
Really? Oh, when he said he knew just the girl, I thought naturally. Andrew's the son of the very woman we were talking about, Desiree.
Lady Bantling?
Yes, though by rights she ought by now to be calling herself Mrs. Bimbo Dodds.
Is she remarried then?
Twice. Once to Harold Cartell, with whom I sadly share this house, and then quite recently to Bimbo Dodds. Bantling, Cartell, Dodds. It's all been frightfully alphabetical.
If you don't know what to do...
Look inside where the cows moo.
It doesn't scan, Bimbo, darling.
I'm not a poet, Desiree.
Thanks for coming. I'll let you know as soon as we find anything.
That's all.
Well, you confirmed they're not yours. Now leave the rest to us.
But I could help.
Try.
The moment you find anything.
Oh, this is Connie's adopted niece, Mary Ralston.
How do you do?
Hello. I call her Moppet.
What did he say, darling?
He wouldn't budge.
Miserable. Budge him.
And this is Mary's friend, Leonard...
L-E-I-S-S. Lice. Rhymes with spice, but twice as nice.
How do you do?
Very nicely, thank you.
Leonard, I'd love a drink.
I was just about to offer. Everyone have the usual?
Leonard will do mine, Uncle Hal. He knows my kind of wallop.
If he must.
Wallop? What a word, Moppet. The things girls say nowadays, honestly.
Did they say in your day, Auntie Con? Snort.
Mary, that was not one of the prettiest remarks.
There certainly wasn't. You ought to exercise more discipline, Connie.
She's too impressionable. That's the problem.
The only way with Moppet is to beat her like a carpet.
Can't you try?
Intend to. Later.
Oh, no. I don't
It's okay.
When do you stop typing?
4 o'clock, I think.
I'll come back and pick you up. About 1:15 to drive you home. May I?
Your niece has turned up with a real specimen this time, Hal.
She is not my niece. How's yours been? If Connie and the girl persist in that charade as they're concerned, but Miss Ralston is no relation to my sister. She's most definitely no relation to me.
Harold, Andrew says that you won't let him have his inheritance.
To fritter away on an art gallery? Certainly not.
Won't be frittering it away. He's looked into the whole thing very carefully.
My decision is final, Desiree.
This is my son's future we are talking about. Stubborn. My God, to think I was once married to you. Bimbo, Andrew, we really ought to go. Let these people eat their lunch. We're having a party tonight, by the way, Andrew, which you're staying for.
I don't think I can, Mother.
Of course you can. Bring, Nicola, wasn't it?
What a good idea. You will come, won't you?
Well, Yes, I'd like to very much. What sort of a party?
Treasure hunt.
A treasure hunt? How absolutely marvellous.
Why don't you and Leonard come along as well?
Gosh, Lady Bantling, that'd
be lovely, Lady Bantling. Nice of you to ask.
Luncheon is served, sir.
Come on, Cyril.
As God is my witness, Chief Inspector, these are not my work.
I'm not suggesting you painted them. I'm trying to find out who did.
Ah. Then it's rather more in an advisory capacity than with a view to incarceration that you've invited me here.
Have you got anything for me?
You couldn't perchance advance me a few guineas by way of a consultancy fee.
By way of what?
I'm just a trifle stretched at the moment.
So's your credibility, Cyril. Let's hear what you have to say first.
2 weeks ago, Hugo de Moncrief asked me to look at a painting that had come in. It purported to be an Agatha Troy self-portrait.
And?
It was good. It was very good. Hugo said that he was not so much suspicious of the work as of the character who was trying to sell it.
And what did you advise?
That he verify its authenticity with Troy directly. One has that advantage with a living artist.
And did he hang the painting?
It sold last week.
Mr. de Moncrief, I have it on good authority that last week you sold an Agatha Troy self-portrait.
Oh?
I have reason to believe it was a forgery.
A forgery?
I'd like to know where you bought it and whom you sold it to.
Chief Inspector, in the first place, Gallery Moncrief doesn't deal in forgeries. In the second, the identities of our clients and customers are not a matter for the public record. In the third, it's obvious you have no warrant. And in the fourth, you should address any queries to my solicitor. Good day.
I'll take that as a no, shall I?
I'm sorry, PP. I have things on my mind other than your blasted cigarette case.
Well, the last people to be seen with it was that fellow Lice and your Moppet.
She is not my Moppet. Alfred, when you cleared after lunch, did you see a gold cigarette case on the little table by the French windows in the dining room?
No, sir.
You absolutely certain?
Absolutely, sir. Though I did notice that someone had opened the windows.
Oh. Well, there you are. The workman doing the sewage in Green Lane must have taken it.
Nonsense. I've spoken to them myself several times. They're perfectly decent, hard-working chaps.
Very well, then, perhaps Alfred would care to reconsider his statement.
Really, Hal, for goodness sake. Thank you, Alfred. So sorry to have troubled you.
Thank you, sir. That does it. Him or me. Him or me.
Ructions, Mr. Belt?
Oh, very well. If you're that certain, I shall go there now. And if they don't produce the case, I shall insist on full criminal charges being brought against them. I trust that will satisfy you. Come on, old girl.
He's heading for Miss Cartel's.
Auntie Con's at some sort of hunt committee do. But she ought to be back any minute.
It's you I wanted to see.
Oh. What about Uncle Hal?
You please stop calling me that. I'm not your uncle.
All right. Mr. Cartel.
What did you do with Mr. Perriard's cigarette case?
I beg your pardon.
You heard me. You and Lice were looking at it after lunch. What did you do with it?
Your turn, Dom. I left the walk. Oh. Pardonnez-moi. Am I, interrupting something?
Mr. Perriard's cigarette case has disappeared. And you and Miss Ralston were the last people seen with it. I put it to you. that having placed the case on that little table and opened the French windows, you later slipped around the side through the garden and stole it.
That's a very serious allegation, Mr. Cartel.
I regard this as a very serious matter. Unless it's replaced by tomorrow, I shall call the police.
I believe you would.
Quiet, Alleyn. Quiet, sweetie. Who let this blasted mongrel in? Get away. Get away! Trudy? Who brought this dog in here? Boys, what on earth possessed you to bring that thing into this house?
Sorry, Connie, I didn't think.
Well, take it out! Take it out! Ow! Lie. You call Miss Cartel? Calm down.
Come on, old girl.
Calm down.
You're not welcome here.
Baby.
There's a good girl. There's a good girl.
I'm sorry, Constance. I do apologize.
Oh.
If I'd realized.
Come off it, Boise. You're hopeless with animals, and that's all there is to it. Now then, what's wrong? I can see you're in one of your moods. Pour us a drink and tell me what the trouble is.
I don't want to drink,
Oh,
Connie.
I do.
Good God. What's that revolting stuff?
Girth gall ointment.
For horses?
What did you want to see me about, Boise?
PP's cigarette case has gone missing.
Of course he wouldn't tell you. No art dealer in his right mind would tell a policeman. Let it be known that he'd had anything to do with art forgeries. The publicity would ruin their business overnight. What was the gallery?
I'm not going to tell you.
I've more than just a casual interest, Rory. It's my reputation at stake. It isn't just that somebody's copied my style. It's that they've got inside my head.
Are they really that good? Then we'll find them. Troy, you really must leave this to me.
I can't see why they'd both accuse you of doing such a thing if they didn't have some reason.
PP and Uncle Hal have nasty minds, Auntie Con. That's all the reason they need.
I couldn't bear to see you getting into trouble with the police again. You were lucky to get away with a warning before. And this Leonard Moppet?
I told you he had an unhappy background. I didn't hide that from you, did I? But he needs love and understanding, that's all. And I can give him that. I can help him make something of himself. You wouldn't want to spoil my happiness, would you, Auntie Con, by making me stop seeing him? I'm so alone in the world.
Oh, now, don't cry. You know how it upsets me. That's my little Moppet. Don't cry.
Come on, sexy. Party'll be over by the time we get there.
Good morning, madam.
Morning, Alfred.
From Mr. Perriard.
Thank you.
My dear, what can I say? Only that you have lost a devoted brother, and I a very dear friend.
Alfred, what's happened?
Happened, miss?
Oh, my brother. Is he...
Mr. Cartel's not up yet, miss. He's later than usual today. Did you want to speak to him?
Connie, good morning. Thank you, Alfred.
P.P., for God's sake, what is all this? Your letter. Are you mad?
What on earth do you mean?
I don't feel well.
Are you all right? Can I get you something? A glass of water?
May I speak to you, sir?
What is it, Alfred? Oh, forgive me, Connie. I won't be a minute. What the blazes is going on? Why are you looking at me like that?
It's Mr. Cartel, sir. Not to put too fine a point upon it, sir. The men have found him in the ditch. Dead.
Mr. Harold Cartel, sir. The drain layers found him at the bottom of the ditch. Face down in the mud with that sewer pipe on top of him. Skull crushed, sir. They thought he might be alive, so they pulled him out. But, Right, let's take a look.
Well, Bailey?
Yeah, a couple of things. There are indentations on that side of the ditch which suggest that the plank bridge was moved so that it would give way when it was stepped on. The wicks on both those lanterns have been turned right down, and there are two holes, there and there.
What if this was used to lever the pipe into the ditch?
Exactly. No chance it was an accident, sir.
Well, I don't want to hear any jokes about suicide. Any sign of the dog?
Dog, sir?
Mark on the victim's right hand, leather leash pulled tight, paw marks everywhere. Wake up, Robinson.
Probably Pixie, sir. A dirty great mongrel of a thing, by all accounts. Seems he always took it out for a walk at 1 in the morning, regular as clockwork.
Do you live here?
That's right. Shared with the owner. Mr. Percival Pike, period, sir.
Well, get the uniform lads onto some statements, and you try and find somewhere to set up an incident room with enough space for Bailey and the Flash and Dab boys.
Sir?
Bailey?
Sir?
What's been going on here? High heels, brogues, work boots? It'd be like trying to find a footprint in a wine press.
Mr. Allen?
Looks like a car with a leaky radiator stood here.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? You're in the middle of nowhere, things,
Search the place we keep the tyres at the home of one desired. Well, doesn't do anything for me.
Treasure hunt. Account for the footprints. Search the place we keep the tyres.
Or garage.
The home of one desired.
I was hoping to thank your mother for giving me a room for the night.
She's never up before noon. What's the matter?
Nothing, why?
You were looking at me.
Sorry. I was just thinking that a person can wake up in the morning absolutely certain of where their life is going, and one chance meeting suddenly changes everything completely.
Hello, Cyril. Want to earn £5?
Mr. Perrier is in his study, sir.
And you are?
Alfred, sir. Alfred.
Mr. Cartel's dog, Pixie. Have you seen her?
She returned this morning, sir, still trailing her lead. I shut her up in the woodshed.
And the lead?
I'll fetch it for you, sir.
Inspector Fox will come with you, if you don't mind.
As you wish, sir.
Right, sir.
I went to bed as soon as I got home, but I couldn't get to sleep for some time. Those treasure hunters in the lane kept me awake till about midnight.
And then you slept. Did you wake again?
At 1 o'clock, when he took Pixie out, she made her usual disturbance, barking and whining. I'm afraid I cursed her. Then she stopped.
You managed to get back to sleep?
Yes, I did.
Any other disturbances? Outside the window?
No.
Did Mr. Cartel have any enemies that you know of?
Well, one had to work very hard trying to like him, but...
Well, anyone to whom he might have done harm had he lived?
Absolutely not. All this upset. Alfred's forgotten to fill my boxes. And it's too tiresome. I've mislaid my beautiful cigarette case. Oh, thank you so much.
This is the one, sir.
Ah, thank you, Alfred. That's most helpful. Ah, soda scones. Very nice.
Yeah, Mr. Perrier's favourite.
Have you both been with Mr. Perrier a long time?
10 years for me. Mr. Belt, all his working life.
I shall probably see out my time here. Now.
Oh. Had there been some doubt before?
Well, as it happens, due to certain frictions between Mr. Cartel and myself, I offered my resignation to Mr. Perrier only yesterday.
Well, he'd have been extremely sad to lose you, I shouldn't wonder.
He was mortified. I thought he was going to terminate Mr. Cartel's tenancy forthwith. Naturally, we've developed a certain mutual allegiance over the years.
Naturally. What sort of frictions were there between you and Mr. Cartel?
So he probably reached out with his right hand as he fell and, plop. Hello. What's this?
You don't think Harold's death was an accident, do you?
I think a trap was laid for him.
A trap? Dear God. Had the planks over the ditch been interfered with?
Yes.
I see. But mightn't the whole thing been just a joke? I mean, Isn't that a possibility? Someone in the treasure hunt came along and moved the planks, and Harold fell and was lying there unconscious. Then somebody else came along and inadvertently dislodged the sewer pipe.
Dislodging one of those sewer pipes could scarcely have been done inadvertently.
Deliberately. And a prank. A silly prank, but a prank all the same, not knowing he was lying there.
Chief Inspector, sir. Something here you might like to have a look at.
Excuse me. Mr. Pike Perrier? Is this by any chance the cigarette case you mislaid?
But where did you...
In the ditch. Close to where the body of Mr. Harold Cartel was found.
Dear God. Lice?
Who?
Well, my dear Harold, it seems your stinking dog and about half a dozen of our suitors has been creating havoc in the vicarage flower beds. Fortunately, that stupid Reverend Elms managed to find her. He's very much upset over the whole thing.
Oh, Boise, you always wear hopeless with dogs. Why don't you get rid of that ghastly mongrel? You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
I entirely agree. And have often said as much, I believe, to you.
My compliments to the chef. Nice grub, Peppy.
On what Peppy, please? PP.
Smoking, my lad.
Well, since you're our guest, we can hardly refuse.
Damn, left mine in the motor. Hand over, sexy.
These are Turkish, I'm afraid, but you're welcome to try one if you like.
Tell very much. Turkish will make a change. Nice case.
Let's have a look.
Well, actually, it's an 18th century card case left to me by an old friend, Lady Charlwood.
18th century? Well, I never.
The inscription is still visible if you hold it up to the light.
If you mean what I think you mean, it's okay by me. Things aren't always what they seem. It's okay by me. Here's your vicar. Looking a mite steamed up, I must say.
Oh, really, this is too much.
I'll see to it, PP.
Just tell him the bitch is on heat and can't help herself. Hey, sexy?
Connie ought to have sent the fellow packing at the first glance.
Mr. Cartel thought so too, I dare say.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The front door was... Rory.
He's a painter, isn't he?
You saw the cadmium
Yellow.
All right. So, what was the young Lieutenant Bantling doing here yesterday?
Visiting Mr. Cartel.
On business? Nicola.
Yes, he'd tell you himself.
Good. At what time did you and he get back last night?
Shortly after 1.
I thought everybody had to be back before midnight.
Andrew and I didn't take part in the treasure hunt. We drove around for a bit, then parked in Green Lane. It wasn't what you think.
If I could take over the Grantham Gallery, well, there's a studio in the back where I could paint and manage the gallery at the same time.
Is that what your meeting with Mr. Cartel was about?
Yes. I want to paint more than anything in life. And buying the Grantham's the perfect way to do it. Or would be, if it weren't for that pontificating Philistine. I bet Agatha Troy never had any of these problems.
Good night, and thank you so much for a lovely dinner. I always enjoy our little chats.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks?
Good God. Desiree, what are you doing down there?
I'm on the warpath, Harold. You ought to know by now not to cross me.
Oh, go to bed, you're drunk. I'm talking utter nonsense.
You'd better watch your step, you...
But listen, you don't want to take any notice of my mamma. Well, she was probably a touch squiffy. It would amuse her to bait Harold. She always does that sort of thing.
But she was annoyed with him.
Well, livid. Well, we both were.
So you're not exactly overwhelmed with grief?
You'll have trouble finding anyone who is.
Lieutenant Bantling, someone set a trap for your stepfather. And when he literally fell into it, that someone levered an 800-pound sewer pipe on top of him. It crushed his skull and drove him face down into the mud.
Rory.
So, is there anything else either of you can tell me?
Leonard Edward Lice, petty larcenies, 3 arrests, 2 convictions, 1 for theft, 1 for fraud, dishonourable discharge from the army, used forged references to obtain job as a chauffeur, likes to move in circles above his station.
Above his station?
You know, sir, your lot.
Oh, Brad. Good morning. Forgive me, but when did you last see your brother?
Last evening. He was taking Pixie for a walk. Brought her into the house like a fool. Of course, Lai became hysterical and bit me. They're very highly strung animals, Peaks. The poor baby's still upset, aren't you, Poppet? Yes.
Is that,
Girth gall ointment. Smells a bit, doesn't it? Works well, though.
Miss Cartel, yesterday, Mr. Pike Perrier gave a luncheon party. What did you talk about?
What does PP ever talk about but background and breeding?
Of course, I know that the war's broken down all the class barriers, and I'm as glad of that as the next man. But there's something fundamental about good breeding. Many things in life can be taught, but not good breeding.
Well, I think when people start making a to-do about family background and all, it's because they're a bit hairy around the heels themselves.
There's no replacement for breeding. It takes 600 years to make an English lawn and an English gentleman.
Oh, I've heard of it being effected in less than no time. In fact, I know of a man who forged his own name in a parish register to establish his ancestry.
Oh, that's a good one.
Was there any money in it?
How's he found out?
Never has been. At least, not in public.
There was some talk of a cigarette case that later went missing.
Was there? Not that I noticed. I know PP had a cigarette case, but He's such an old muddlehead, he probably lost it himself.
He has suggested that Miss Ralston and Mr. Lyce may have had something to do with its disappearance.
You don't want to pay any attention to what PP says about them. He's out of touch with the young. Expects them all to behave like his generation, a lot of po-faced little humbugs.
From Mr. Perrier. The man Alfred has left this.
All right, Trudy, thank you. Just leave it there.
Don't you want to look at that? Please?
My dear, what can I say? Only that you have lost a devoted brother, and I a very dear friend.
What is it?
I know so well what a shock this has been for you, and how bravely you will have taken it.
Miss Cartel?
He must be mad. Mad.
May I see that? It seems like a perfectly conventional letter of condolence. Why do you say that he must be mad?
Because it's all happening again. He's written it before. Exactly the same.
When?
This morning. Before breakfast. Before I knew. Before anybody knew. Before they'd found him. See for yourself. Before they'd found him.
£2,000.
2,000? My wife Bunny's crazy about art, but... Of course, I show up on the doorstep with this. She'll have to take me back, won't she? You could arrange for it to be shipped over to the States?
Oh, but of course. I'd be more than happy to do so.
Good, good.
Troy,
Hello, Hugo.
what are you doing here?
I just thought I'd have a browse round. You don't mind, do you?
Of course not. Feel free. What are you up to?
Up to?
Up to 4,000 for the Degas.
Oh. Now, that is splendid.
Pretty as a picture, isn't it?
Thinking of buying?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Is there some reason I shouldn't?
Oh, absolutely not. This is an extremely reputable gallery. I'm quite certain that Mr. de Moncrief has spared no expense in verifying the painting's origin. He's very cautious that way.
I'm glad to hear it.
But then, of course, one has to be with Corot, as there are so many forgeries of his work. As a matter of fact, I've heard it said that of the 700 proved originals painted by Corot in his lifetime, over 50,000 are to be found in America alone.
Really?
But there you are. As your very own P.T. Barnum put it, there's one born every minute. Oh, dear. I hope I haven't put him off.
You trying to ruin me, Troy?
That depends, Hugo.
It was a cash transaction. I delivered the money to this address in Bermondsey.
Thank you.
Troy, you want to be careful. You might just be getting too clever for your own good.
Do you mind if we hang on to these?
No, of course not.
Thank you.
Never bore me. I'm coming. I'm sorry. I'll have to see to this. In the garden, Poppy. Get away from there. Naughty boy.
Lyce. Who the hell are you? Sorry to interrupt your beauty sleep. Detective Chief Inspector Alleyn, Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard?
I'd like to ask you a few questions about Mr. Perriard's cigarette case.
Well, he's got connections, I'll give him that. Getting a Chief God Almighty Inspector to investigate a missing knick-knack.
What did you do with the case?
I told Cartel. We left it on the table. Look, you can search the room, or me, or my car, or my girlfriend. We ain't got it.
Oh, the case has been found.
Well, there you are. Found where?
Exactly where you dropped it, I should think. In the open sewer. A few inches from Mr. Cartel's body.
Leonard, we've got trouble. Old Cartel, dead at the doornail and down the drain.
What are you talking about, Cartel's body?
Miss Ralston, is it?
What do you mean, Cartel's body?
Perhaps you can tell me what you and Mr. Lyce did with Mr. Perriard's cigarette case.
No, she can't. Because we didn't. We never had it. We don't know a thing about it.
A moment ago, you told me I was welcome to search this room. Do you still hold to that?
Like I said, I got nothing to hide.
Good. Did you smoke any of Mr. Pike Perriard's cigarettes yesterday?
Only one. Your Turkish muck don't really appeal to my sensibilities, tar very much.
No? Miss Ralston?
Same story.
Look, Face. He's going to valet you.
I'd like to borrow these for a little while, if I may.
It's not convenient.
Would it be more convenient if I were to sit here and wait for a warrant?
All right. Take the bloody things.
Thank you. I'd like a word with you too, Miss Ralston.
What can I do for you, Chief Inspector?
You can wipe that smirk off your face for a start. Inspector, I'd like you to witness something I'm going to say to Miss Ralston.
Good afternoon, Miss Ralston.
Please understand this. Inspector Fox and I are investigating a murder.
Murder? Auntie Con said it was an accident.
I think we can prove that last night that missing cigarette case was either in his possession or in yours. Now, this morning it was found next to Mr. Cartel's body.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know anything about it.
Now, miss, if you stole the cigarette case and dropped it in the ditch last night, you better tell us now.
You're trying to trap me.
Do you know what happens to people who withhold evidence in a case of murder?
It wasn't what you think. You've got it all wrong. It was just...
It was a lovely night for a treasure hunt.
Mr. Lyce, would you kindly take yourself out of this?
The young lady's got nothing to say to you, Ellen. Are you looking for clues? Here's one. If you don't know what to do, think it over in the loo. Come on.
How'd Bailey go through those, did you?
Right, sir.
I swear there were traces of Turkish tobacco in the overcoat pocket.
What's most upsetting is seeing the young lady led astray in such a manner.
Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds.
I'm not sure that lily didn't start off as a weed and fester from there, sir.
Got enough Turkish tobacco out of that overcoat pocket to satisfy a blind juryman on a dark night.
What about the gloves?
They're soiled, but he didn't lift any planks with those on his hands.
You've got another one of those.
Sorry, last one.
Mr. Pike Perriard, how is it that you wrote 2 identical letters of condolence to Miss Cartel, the first of which you sent before the body of her brother had even been discovered?
What? But I didn't.
Are these in your handwriting?
Must be some stupid mistake. He must have...
Who?
Alfred must have...
Must have what? anticipated the need for a letter of condolence, forged your handwriting, sent the letter to the lady before anybody knew she was bereaved?
There's no need to be facetious, Chief Inspector.
I couldn't agree more. It's an extremely serious matter.
You don't understand.
I don't understand how Miss Cartel received a letter concerning the death of her brother before anybody knew that he was dead.
Well, I had occasion to write to Connie.
About what?
About something else. Something completely different and extremely private. The letters must have been put into the wrong envelopes.
Well, that still doesn't explain how the letter came to be written in the first place. Unless you know someone else who's lost a brother recently.
Well, I did hear yesterday.
And wrote?
Mm-hmm.
And the letters were identical? Oh, after all, why not? I mean, one can't go on inventing consolatory phrases forever. Well, what's the name of this other bereaved sister, the one to whom this extremely private letter was mistakenly sent?
Well, forgive me, but I'd rather not say.
You come from an extremely distinguished family, it seems. You're a twin.
Yes.
Bimbo. Benedict Arthur Dodds made a court appearance 2 years ago in connection with financial interest in the... Oh, wait for it, sir. Hacienda Club. Declared bankrupt, no criminal record. Oh, a string of financial calamities and business failures. He's been in more tight corners than a feather duster.
Has he? Listen, you've got to get some lunch and then see if you can get any more out of Mrs. Mitchell and Mr. Belt.
Oh, I can do two things at once, sir. Mr. Belt and Mrs. Mitchell have suggested I drop in for a snack.
Lucky you. Oh, well. I'll just have to press on to meet the one desired.
Brother would become a policeman.
Desiree, has it really been that long?
Harris, bring the inspector some lunch, will you? He looks famished.
Please don't bother.
Oh, it's no bother. You're far too thin. Let's get some flesh on these bones.
Desiree, you didn't by any chance get a letter from Mr. Pike Perrier this morning?
Poor man must be going dotty.
Why?
My dear, I can't help feeling that you might have drawn the wrong conclusion from the turn our conversation took today. Too much to have to defend one's own ancestry. Blah, blah, blah. But I can assure you that mine goes back as far as I or anybody else could wish. What on earth is he talking about? We never had the conversation.
Desiree, have you, lost anyone recently?
Yes, my brother died 2 days ago. Oh, I see. P.P.'s got his letters crossed, hasn't he?
May I hang on to that?
May I ask why?
You may, but I shan't tell you.
Did I ever succeed in seducing you?
No. Mr. Pike Perrier dined here last night, didn't he, during the treasure hunt?
Yes.
Was he angry? Upset?
every morning taps on my door and calls out, "Bath's empty," for what it's worth. And that dog, Desiree, that dog will be the death of me. The smell, the noise, the destruction. Every night when he takes her out for a walk, she no sooner gets below my window than she starts barking and wakes me up. Sometimes I almost believe he puts her up to it, just to irritate me, to goad me into, well, I don't know what.
I found Harold hell to live with Pee-Pee. I don't see why you should fare any better.
If it were only his irritating ways, I could get used to them. But...
Yes, there's more, isn't there? He's done something else. Besides the usual aggravations, something that's really upset you.
Well, it's just something he said. No, it's nothing. I'd rather not talk about it, if you don't mind.
And you drove him home?
Yes.
Squiffy. After you dropped him off, you had words with Mr. Harold Cartel about your son's inheritance.
I did.
Why was Cartel so set against Andrew's gallery idea?
He thought Andrew shouldn't resign his commission.
Well, P.P.'s a trustee as well. What does he think?
Oh, I can manage P.P. Bimbo thinks the gallery's a jolly good bet. He's got a flair for that sort of thing. In fact, he intends to invest in it himself.
Does he? He's no longer an undischarged bankrupt, then?
I'm very much obliged to you.
It'd only go to waste, Mr. Fox. Being as recent events have put Mr. Belt and Mr. Perriott off their food so.
Oh, I can't think of a worse plight. So you were in bed last night when the murder took place then, Alfred?
Well, of course, I was fast asleep.
And you heard nothing of the disturbance about 1 o'clock?
Well, my room's on the other side of the house.
Ah.
Excuse me, Inspector. Hanging's too good for them. I believe in capital punishment. All these blather the Bolsheviks talk about understanding the thugs. Somebody's got to show the flag.
Darling, don't get onto that hobby horse now. You had something to tell the inspector about who killed Hal.
Oh, yes. Well, it may be completely irrelevant. It's about this Lice chap and the girl. Moppet. They hung on to the bitter end of the party. Thanks for coming. Bye, old bean.
And that disposes of Mr. Harold Cartel for good.
When do you think they'll find it?
In the morning, probably. Don't worry. We're in the clear.
They upped sticks pretty sharpish after that.
Well, what time did you get back here after the treasure hunt?
It was before midnight because I had to check everything was ready for the guests coming back.
And you didn't leave the house after that?
No.
It's my phone.
You still a member of the Hacienda Club?
What the devil does that have to do with anything?
Well, I was wondering if you'd ever run into Leonard Lice there.
Never seen that little Mr. Lice before yesterday. I haven't set foot inside the Hacienda Club in over 2 years.
Very wise.
Desiree?
I seem to have committed a faux pas, showing you PP's funny letter. He's just telephoned in a terrible tizzy, telling me to throw it on the fire and forget about it.
You didn't tell him I'd seen it?
No, but I felt such a traitor.
It is good, isn't it? Hideously good. And dear Rory, optimistic as ever, is quite certain they're going to bump me off at any moment to increase the value of my work.
Does Rory know what you're up to?
Heavens no, he told me to stay out of it completely.
Which, of course, had precisely the opposite effect.
Red rag to a bull. He'll say I'm stubborn and pig-headed, I know. But it isn't that. Somehow, doing what I was told would seem like submitting to his will. I suppose I'm terrified of losing my independence. I'm afraid of us becoming a couple. Becoming us rather than he and I. I don't know. That's the problem with falling in love. Perhaps I'm just too selfish. But I can't help it. If I close my eyes and think couple, I always picture a pantomime horse.
Which end are you? You will be careful, Troy.
Oh, I wish everyone would stop saying that. Worries me. I'm too angry to be careful.
Rather odd behaviour, sir. Starting out as plain Percival Period, and then going to those lengths to make out he's something he's not.
Illusions of grandeur. Pathologically sensitive nose for class distinction.
The man's balmy.
Well, suppose he had enough money to rub shoulders with my lot. Hmm? He moves in posh circles, begins to feel almost at home, but there's always something missing. Background, breeding. And then one day somebody says to him, are you by any chance related to the Pike periods of Ribblethorpe? Well, he looks into the Pike periods of Ribblethorpe and discovers they've completely died out. So he adjusts the parish register, adopts Pike as a second name. Years pass. By now he's persuaded himself he is all he claims to be and is happily established in his own fairy tale. Till Harold Cartel does a little snooping in the church and blows the gaff at yesterday's lunch party.
Put like that, sir, it almost makes one feel sorry for the silly old snob.
Could be a very strong motive for murder.
You can have him. He's all yours.
Miss Beach, I was only looking for him.
Take all of him. Take his clothes. Take everything. You're more than welcome to him. You'll be doing me a favour. Here, take his gramophone records. Okay by me. That's his favourite. Who does he think he is anyway? Bringing that tart Mary Ralston here, waltzing round like Lady Muck. Telling me she was his cousin from Chalfont. How stupid do they think I am? You can take songs to him with my compliments.
here again, I'll scratch his eyes out!
Thank you, Miss Beach.
3 hairs, consistent with the deceased's. Plank hit him on the head, all right. Oh. And there are these. Make it out quite clearly. Planks were muddy where they dug into the walls of the trench, but at the edges, about 9 inches in, these.
Gloves?
Yeah, fortunately, it's a rough undersurface.
So, we can find as much leather as would go through the eye of a needle. It might be in sight.
Well, this may be damn all, but...
Well, it's not wash leather, is it? It's more like strong hide. I give up.
String?
Heavy leather and string, sir?
Sharp eyes, Mr. Allen. Sharp eyes.
Flattery will get you nowhere, Bailey.
One of your coppers has brought Lenny's overcoat and dinner suit back, but his gloves are missing.
That's odd. I saw to the parcel myself. Cream wash leather, size 7.
No, his driving gloves. Leather stringbacks.
I can't be long. Lenny thinks I'm dropping the car at the garage. It sprung a leak in the waterworks.
Has it? Did he have these driving gloves last night?
He wore the others. He's fussy about his gloves. Now I suppose I'll get the rocket.
Why should Mr. Lyce be angry with you, Miss Ralston?
Because I took the coats into the house when we went to Auntie Con's yesterday.
Do you remember where you put them?
Probably dumped them in the hall, I usually do.
Mr. Lyce's overcoat was in his wardrobe this morning.
Well, I expect Trudy put it there.
Was he wearing his overcoat last night during the treasure hunt?
What if he was?
Did you and he have any reason to go to Mr. Perriard's house last night?
This is a trick. You found them and you're holding on to them. I know what you do.
Just answer the question, please, Miss Ralston.
No, I won't. You're trying to frame us.
Proper little madam. He'll have got rid of the gloves. Or tried to. Unless, of course, she really did lose them. And he's dead scared we're going to find them.
Well, if PP approves, I can anticipate my inheritance and buy the Grantham Gallery.
Do you think he will approve?
Oh, yes, he's no problem. Hal was just bloody-minded. Ah, and another one of my mother. She of the flamethrower coiffure.
I'm quite sure Freud would have something to say about all these paintings of your mother.
I've done one of Freud as well. I think it's I used images from his book on dreams. Don't go in there.
Don't be shy. What is this?
It's, well, I was just fooling around, really.
These are Troy. You. What's going on, Andrew?
They're, tributes. I wouldn't dream of selling them. I just give them to people, unsigned.
Well, someone's signing them and selling them. The police found 6 of them 2 nights ago in a nightclub. Troy's livid.
Muppet. I gave her a still life a few months back, just for a lark. Well, she raved about it, asked me for more, said she wanted to hang them in her flat. Well, they were just taking up space here.
You're obsessed with Troy, aren't you? Tell me you didn't arrange all of this. My working for Mr. Perriott, our meeting, as a way of getting close to her. Tell me none of that's true. Tell me!
Find those damn gloves. Let's go through it again.
Lady Bantling was in the lane at 11:15. Liza Miss Ralston is 11:30. Andrew Bantling and Nicola from 11 until shortly before 1 o'clock.
Yes, but somebody had to be there after 1 to lever the sewer pipe into the ditch.
Well, for my money, that was Liza Miss Ralston. They set the plank bridge up during the treasure hunt and went back later to finish the job. Detective Chief Inspector Allen's office. Oh, yes. Would you put him on, please? Mr. Percival Pike Perriott.
Hello?
Chief Inspector, you're going to think me an awful old shirker, I know. But I feel there's something I should really have told you about last night.
Perriott? Mr. Perriott? We need the car.
Good evening, Mr. Bentley.
Miss Cartel.
Yes?
My name's Agatha Troy. May I come in?
Why, yes, of course. Moppet's quite an admirer of yours. Well, I don't know much about painting, but she says you're the cat's pajamas.
That's very kind.
As a matter of fact, she gave me that as a present.
That's actually why I'm here, Miss Cartel. I'm afraid that that painting and a number of others that Mary and Mr. Lyce have been handling are forgeries.
Miss Troy, Mary's a willful girl, headstrong at times, mischievous even. But the idea that she's capable of jiggery-pokery is, well, poppycock. Pure poppycock. Clever boy. Did Andrew send you?
Andrew?
You're all in it together, playing a practical joke on me. Mop it as well.
This isn't a joke, I'm afraid. The police are involved.
Miss Troy, these are wicked, wicked lies. I know Mary better than anyone, and I'm telling you she's not capable of such things. Now, possibly, someone she's allowed herself to get close to. She's so alone in the world, it makes her vulnerable. She gives of herself too freely, trusts too easily, you see. But forging paintings, my Moppet? She wouldn't know where to begin.
I don't actually believe that she or Mr. Lyce forged the paintings, Miss Cartel.
Of course they didn't. I'll make some tea. Do sit down.
That song ought to have told Alleyn.
What song? What song, Mr. Perriott?
Over and over. Whistling at luncheon. Awfully bad form. Couldn't get it out of my head. So silly. Okay by me, over and over. Knew it was him the moment I heard it. If you think I mean. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum.
Was it Leonard Lyce whistling the song?
Must speak to Alleyn.
I'm here, Mr. Perriott.
Tell him last night in the lane, whistling that tune.
Okay by me. Da 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 da. That was the tune. Was it Leonard Lyce whistling the tune at lunch and then in the lane last night?
So vulgar.
Can you remember what time? Mr. Perriott, it's very important that I know what time Leonard Lyce was in the lane.
After the dog. Later.
Later than 1 o'clock?
It woke me up again. Have you heard the whistling?
I'd recognise those lips at 100 yards.
Mary Moppet Ralston.
The two Capstan.
Lyce by name, Lyce by nature. Excuse me, Alfred, did you by any chance deliver any messages today? Across the green, for instance?
Yes, sir. To Miss Cartel.
For Miss Cartel?
No, sir. For Miss Ralston and Mr. Lyce.
Pick them up then, sir.
It's not that easy, I'm afraid. Yes, Mr. Pike Perry had heard Lyce whistling out here last night.
Okay by me.
After 1 o'clock, when they were picking up water for their radiator.
Mr. Alleyn?
There are two sets of paw prints here. Now, this one here's pixies, I reckon, sir. Like the ones we found on the edge of the sewer ditch. But this smaller one here,
Pekingese.
Miss Troy, I've often considered commissioning a portrait of Mary. How much would it...
You seem to have lost a glove.
What makes you think it's mine?
I'm sorry, it's the bloodstain on the thumb.
This Moppet isn't the innocent little angel you like to think she is, Constance. You're besotted with her.
Balderdash.
You are, but I tell you this. If you've any authority over it all, you better use it. Because unless that cigarette case is returned by tomorrow, I'm calling the police and pressing charges against the two of them.
Thank you. Nearly out of sugar.
They can't see beyond the end of their aristocratic noses.
The cigarette case? Is that what you brought us over here to talk about?
It's just a moment ago. Just what are you getting at, Mr. Pike-Perrion? What we were doing last night is absolutely no concern of yours.
You were whistling the very same tune that you whistled at luncheon. I heard it quite distinctly. So don't deny you were in the lane, and unless you can give a very good account of what you were doing there...
You're not sticking us with this murder. We know a thing or two about you as well, Mr. Plain Percival Period.
How dare you! Get out of my house. Go on, out. If you can blackmail me, you'll just see about that. I'm calling the police. Don't imagine you're going to stop me. I can stop poor old Harold Cartel. Chief Inspector, you're going to think me an awful old shirker, I know. But I feel there's something I should really have told you about last night.
There we are. Now then, what were we talking about?
Thank you, I never take sugar.
Not even this once.
Isn't that... It's Troy's.
You have children, Miss Troy?
No, I don't.
No, I didn't think so. If you did, though, you'd appreciate the difficulties, the pitfalls. What a hopelessly heartbreaking task it can be. Trying to keep them on the straight and narrow. There's so many hazards along the way, so many temptations and external influences. Girls especially. They get to a certain age, and you know what rears its ugly head. So many meddlers and busybodies interfering. They become prey to jackals. Every scallywag and philanderer within miles starts sniffing around. Men dangle temptation in front of a girl. Lying, scheming, turning her head with false promises. Charlatans and humbugs. They don't know what love means. And we, who really love, who know that it means sacrifice and self-denial, who have to clean up the mess when it's all over. How can we compete? stop the charlatans and the humbugs from taking it away.
I'll take that, Connie. Connie. There's no point now.
How can we keep hold? How can we stop?
Have I met anybody so confoundedly stubborn as you?
I found Leonard and Moppet, didn't I? And the proof that it was them signing Andrew's
What
forgeries.
did you think you were doing? Walking into the middle of a murder investigation?
I didn't know it was a
Nothing
murder
anybody ever says makes the blindest bit of difference to you, does it? You just get an idea in your head and off you go.
Well, I'm sorry.
How can you be so reckless?
I'm sorry.
I warned you to stay out of it.
Sorry.
Is that all you can say? Sorry?
Sorry.
Damn it, Troy, you could have been killed.
The transport's here for Miss Cartel, sir.
Thanks, Brad.
Why, Mr. Alleyn? Her own brother.
I suppose she couldn't bear the idea of her precious Moppet going to prison.
Pitiful. Desperate. Balmy.
Cruel madness of love.
Shakespeare.
Tennyson. Good night, Bram.
Good night, sir.